All right, let's talk Seattle Seahawks. This team unbeaten, making waves so far through the early part of the 2024 regular season. And through all this early season momentum, the Seattle Seahawks have quietly pulled off an incredible move. Great news for Seattle. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Seattle squad is undefeated, 3-0. Coach Mike Macdonald off to a great start, and this team is looking really good, especially on the defensive side of the football. It's kind of what we were hoping for, what we were expecting. Mike Macdonald, we did a story on him earlier this offseason, his new strategy. He's kind of the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan on the defensive side of the ball, and he is delivering that in spades. We got a great update on that. Let's pull up this report courtesy of Sporting News. Just how good are Mike Macdonald and the Seattle Seahawks on defense this year? If you have already been comparing them to the all-time great steel curtain defense of the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers, then you pretty much hit the bullseye. On Sunday, the Seahawks squeezed the Miami Dolphins into a 24-3 dominant win, despite getting an off game from Geno Smith and missing multiple starters on both sides of the ball. Seattle now stands with a 3-0 record, and those 3 wins, they have managed to hold their opponents under 150 total passing yards. According to senior NFL researcher Dante Kopelowitz Fleming, that makes them the first team to do so since the 1979 Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to say that again. This is a defense that statistically through 3 games is on a same level as arguably the best defense in NFL history, the steel curtain of the 1970s. We knew Macdonald would be great for this defense. I don't think anyone expected him to be this good. Competition does play a role into it, but they've been undeniably dominant. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Seahawks fans, in the comment section below, give us your MVP through 3 games so far for the Seahawks squad. Look, they've done a lot of really great things. Some new faces have shown. Some veteran guys have stepped up their game as well. This is a really good team, but give us one guy that has really surprised you and is their early season MVP. Put them in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest Seahawks news?
Yeah, Nick, I think this comparison is quite stunning. Actually, we all expected McDonald to come in, turn things around, but you expect kind of like a slow turnaround. A team maybe be like middle top 10, not to be one of the best teams in the NFL already defensively, and statistically breaking records, one of the best teams all time through 3 games. It's very early. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but we can talk about what the data shows us, and that is the Seahawks are pretty dang good on defense. To give you just a little bit extra picture, currently their defense ranks 2nd in fewest yards allowed per game, 4th in scoring defense, and 2nd in defensive DVOA. For those really high-tech, nerd stats, this is a really, really good defense. They're one of the best in the NFL right now. And I think this just shows getting Mike Macdonald as a head coach was a fantastic move by the Seattle Seahawks. What they want to do, they said, we have a offense that is pretty solid. We've got some great players on defense. We need someone to kind of accentuate that defense, make it even better. And that is exactly what Macdonald has done here. And he's been very impressive in his own right. He's actually the first rookie coach, to start 2-0 in a season. I think that was a pretty impressive stat by him. He's also the first coach, period, to start 3-0 in Seahawks team history. Also a really impressive stat for him there as well. I think he's off to a really great start, and I just think, reiterating, this just proves, this is the data. We always talk about, we're a channel, we love to say stuff that's backed up by data, and this is data that the Mike Macdonald hiring was an absolute home run by the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, especially since they haven't been perfect on the offensive side of the ball, right? Normally when a defense is doing dominant things, it's usually on the back of, complementary football, right? You get a quick score on offense, and then you get a 3 and out because, you get a stop, you get another score. Suddenly that team is in, full-on pass rush mode, and you're allowed to let your pass rushers let the dogs out, and they dominate the game from that point forward, and it becomes just a tailspin. That hasn't been the case with Seattle. All 3 of these games, or at least the first 2, were close competitive games. Certainly the Patriots game in overtime. I thought the Broncos game, Seattle kind of dominated that game. The score was kind of closer than really that game was, but it still was a competitive game. Despite all those issues on offense that kept those 2 games competitive, this defense didn't miss a beat. They were dominant. They were clutch. coming up with big stops, certainly against the Patriots that gave them an opportunity to later force overtime, then of course win the game. And they were absolutely dominant against the Miami Dolphins. And look, I understand a lot of people are going to be saying level of competition. I get it. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix. Patriots offense is not good. And we know, of course, the injury issues of the Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa missing significant time with his concussion. But the reality is these are NFL players, right? And what they're doing is ridiculous. It'd be different if they were, just being good against bad quarterbacks. I'd sit there and say, yeah, it's bad competition, right? You're supposed to be good against them. But they're elite. They're transcendent. They're all-time kind of stuff right now on the defensive side of the ball for this pass defense, which I think shows how good this team is, right? There's no reason a team shouldn't get, 200 yards passing in a game in the National Football League, right? It should happen. It should be a regular occurrence. And for 99% of teams, it is. Now we've seen 3 different data sets where no one can throw the football in the Seattle Seahawks. I think it's setting up a very interesting game next Monday night against the Detroit Lions in Detroit. That's going to be a tough one, Seahawks fans. I think you guys understand that. But that will be the ultimate showcase. If Mike Macdonald can outduel the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson, then we will know 100% for sure that this defense and Macdonald is elite. And I tell you what, it's going to be a wild matchup. If they can pull it off, I think the sky is really the limit for this team.
Yeah, Nick, and I think we talk about this all the time. It really, if you go back, anytime we're in the offseason, every draft, we talk about how good a player is or addition is to a team coming out of the draft. And everyone's like, well, we haven't even seen him practice yet. And then we hit, the offseason OTAs and we talk about how good a player is in practice. They say, well, this is just OTAs. He hasn't even been in a real game against a different team. Same with preseason. Oh, this just preseason doesn't count. Now we're into the real deal. These are games, like you said, against real NFL teams trying to win real NFL games. This is where it counts. So this is as good as you're going to get as a comparison for Mike Macdonald until maybe we hit the postseason. Hopefully this is a team that makes the postseason. It's looking like that way early on. But going down this stretch, you brought up the Lions. I think this is going to be a stretch to week 10. Their bye is really going to see how good this team is because, as you said, they got the Lions. Ben Johnson, offensive mind, tough game. Giants, probably not as tough a game. Then you got the 49ers, who will probably be a little bit healthier by week 6, going to be a very tough team. Falcons are looking feisty. They almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills dominating on Monday Night Football, look like a fierce competitor. And again, the Los Angeles Rams, a frisky team who is looking very good despite having multiple injuries themselves. I think this is a team that's doing a lot of good things. And from the sample size we have right now, this could be a special unit that I said I think they're definitely a shoo-in to make it to the playoffs this year.